Welcome to the Expanded Women Network podcast. I'm your host, Sherry Gideons, and my co-host, Misty Willis.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. And we want to welcome today our special guest, Chioma Njoku. She is the owner and chief mindful operator at the Mindful Bookkeeper. She's also a yoga teacher. And she helps business owners become mindful of their finances and how they're influenced and impacted by their finances. With that awareness, she actually can make them better equipped to keep more of their hard-earned money in the bank without sacrificing all the things that make life enjoyable. So welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome.
I am. Woo.
I know. So how's everything going for you today?
Everything is good. Everything is nice and chill, which is the way I like it. So I'm going to share some chill energy with everybody today.
Chill energy.
Yes. So today you were wanting to talk to us about so many different things, but one of the things that kind of caught my eye, and I think it resonates with a lot of people, is what kind of mistakes that we make as women with money, and what are those mistakes, and what can we do to change those things?
Yeah, sure. So can go deep with this one. I would have to say, as women, as humans, but as women especially, declaring what we want, something we're not very great at, something that's unfamiliar territory. And so when it comes to money, like that manifests in your money, that shows up whether it's in your bank account or not. So really the theme is, what do you want? Right? Not what other people want for you. Not what other people tell you what to do, but what do you want? And when you are focused on that, it's not selfish, it's not greedy, but when you are focused on that, everything that you want, which is actually, the money is a vehicle to help you get that. Everything that you will get, everything that you want. You become the person that attracts the things that you want. And it shows up. So yeah, money is a resource. It's there to support you. It's there to nurture you. It's there to care for you. It's not the enemy.
Well, why do you think that we have, because I know I grew up with a mother that said there wasn't enough and the glass was half full and money was the root of all evil. So why do you think that women are afraid, of money and to ask for what they really want?
We have to look at, like, historically, like our parents, Great Depression era, right? So things were scarce. Buildings caught on fire. I live in Chicago, so part of that Great Depression era is the Chicago fire. So, I mean, we even feel it here, that history here today. My parents, they come from Nigeria. They met here in the US, but they come from Civil War. So things are scarce. So their environment is scarcity. Is our parents, it seems like we have a lot of things in common here. It's scarcity, lack. So the way to survive is letting you know, as a child, as a female, number one, that, hey, you know what? I just want to let that things aren't really readily available. Just be prepared. I know they did it with love, but then it transfers to us. Now we're in this, all we see is what we don't have. So that's point one. Also, traditionally for women, we weren't in charge of the finances. It was usually the men. So the men handled the bills. The men brought home the bacon. We were at home taking care of things, big job, by the way, but we were taking care of things. So suddenly the man leaves, and then it's like, oh, I have to pay a bill. I have to get a job. I have to, oh gosh, how do I do this stuff? How do I handle this money stuff? I don't know. So we're still, I still believe that we are still in the process of owning our power when it comes to money and getting that comfort, that relationship with money, and doing it our way, most importantly. So those are some of what could be a lot of reasons as to why we as women are not comfortable with money.
Well, so much of it is conditioned behavior because, we're unconscious, or I like to call it awareness, because we're unaware of how we're doing it, and that we have these habits of thought that are going on under the surface, you know, consciously and unconsciously. And we don't recognize that when we're being from that lower state of there's not enough, or, you know, why does this always keep happening to me? Or there's that dialogue going on in the head, like what you said, from the historical ancestry of our parents and our grandparents' beliefs and ways of being, that is actually creating what we're experiencing right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think it's really important for us to now stop doing that with our children, so that they know how to speak to their children, you know. So it's something I learned later, obviously, but, you know, I used to tell the kids, well, we don't have enough money right now, I can't buy that for you. And now it's like, okay, well, I choose not to because of this. And I explain to them, it's like, that's the choice we have to make right now. But they are really at a point, I think, where they understand that, and they're like, okay, well, not a problem. You know, they're not throwing the fits or anything. Well, they're older now, but they're not throwing those fits anymore because they can't have something out of the store at that moment. You know, they understand it a little bit better. So yeah, I think it's our job too to like spread that on to our children, male or female.
Absolutely. You know? Absolutely. I know growing up for me, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, because actually my clients, you attract what you are. So my clients, I attracted myself, would always say, I wish my parents taught me about money when I was younger. And I know my parents, they would hide the finances from me.
Yes.
Whenever I asked a
Mine
question,
too.
Yeah. When I asked a question, it was, money is none of your business, or you're too young to know that. Or I get yelled at. And so I get older. What happens? I'm afraid to ask for a raise. I'm afraid to look at my bank statements. I'm afraid to if someone cheats me, I'm afraid to confront that, right? And say, hey, you know, this isn't correct, because I was shut down as a child.
Yes.
Right. So that's how it transfers into when we get older. So what our parents do to protect us can sometimes shift into harm. Like we're not able to protect ourselves.
Well, and two, you know, the thing is really now getting the message across of how to do that, because we have these conversations, and I have them all day too, but in really tapping in to really sharing with people how to bring that forward in their own lives. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this shift in thinking, and now how you're bringing that forward to other women. Now, are you doing it with specifically women or men as well?
Men as well. They have their own. Oh yeah, we have our own ways of hiding. Which is, it's actually really cool. I love getting insight into people and the different perspectives as to how people become, like, get to where they are, because it helps understand me, and I can help another person understand them. Like, as you said, Sherry, in one of our conversations, like, we are all one.
Yes.
So we're all seeing variations of ourselves, which is why I really enjoy just receiving from people. So how I got to this point, I would say my shift in the recent year was quick, but I realize now that I have always been taking this step. And I believe we're always taking our steps to consciousness. We just don't realize it until we start becoming aware. So technically since birth, when I became, I grew up Catholic. I grew up in a Nigerian household. I grew up American. So I got 3 different things. There are expectations that came with me. The Catholic side, the way I grew up, which is shifting now, but the way I grew up was money is bad.
Right.
The Nigerian side is the American dream. And then there's the American way at the time of growing up, which is kind of a combination of everything. So yeah, wasn't allowed to even dip into the finances. I asked a lot of questions, denied, no problem. And then certain things I observed as a child, right? American dream. My dad is a doctor, and we went from being on welfare to living pretty nice. And so having the practical car of if you call Volvo practical, right, to shifting to Mercedes and BMWs. And it went from one Mercedes, one BMW. So suddenly there's like 2 of each. And then there's a van, and then there's another car. So we had a lot of cars, and then we had the big home. But so at the surface, it's like, wow, they made it. Behind the scenes, electricity would go out. We're without power for a couple of days at least. We always had to close the garage, and I didn't understand why. My dad would say, we don't want people to take our cars. People are jealous of us. No, my dad was behind on car payments, so they would repossess the cars. So little things like that, right? So now let's shift into me becoming an adult. Right. I'm an accountant now. I have 2 master's degrees, one in accounting, one is an MBA. Now I'm supposed to, this is now according to my parents, I'm supposed to be making a certain amount of money. But in my industry, you don't start off making multiple 6 figures. You got to crawl before you walk. So my parents were disappointed in me. They didn't get that, because in my dad's path, he became a physician. He made that kind of money. So we're in 2 different like points of life. I would spend the next 10 years thinking that I'm a failure. 10 out of my 13-year corporate career, thinking that I'm failing. Even when I hit 6 figures, like just over 100,000 as a single woman, I still thought I was broke. So thoughts manifest into physical reality, right? Because I thought I was poor, I was. That was the interesting thing. I was always living from paycheck to paycheck, no matter how much more I earned. So then here's the other thing. Now life is happening. I'm expected to hit a glass ceiling. So I thought I hit the glass ceiling. Let me become a yoga teacher. So I become a yoga teacher. I start shifting away from being an accountant. And I swear I'll wrap up this story, but I want to just make it clear, like all these expectations are like what I see for all of us. I become a yoga teacher. Next thing you know, now I'm back to that Catholic upbringing. Money is bad. You're all about the money. Making money is not spiritual or yoga-like. So I'm teaching a lot of free classes, thinking that that's the way to success, that the ends would justify the means. I was teaching myself to being broke. I got to a point where I had to decide between putting gas in my car or feeding my dog. And then I would eventually move in with my parents. So that's age 35, me and my dog. Wow. And at that point, I'm like, okay, let's reevaluate. Because I thought I did everything right, even though I thought I was a failure. In between, I cut the coffees. I discounted everything, clipped the coupons. I cooked my meals at home. I listened to what everyone else said is the right thing to do. Where did I go wrong? And then about 6 months into living with my parents, I finally unpacked my suitcases because I was like, I was resisting. I was in denial. Yeah, I'm not saying exactly. And then that's when I started to see everything that I did accomplish. So I went from thinking I'm a failure to now like, whoa, I'm picking up a shirt and I'm remembering all the things that came with that shirt. I'm picking up a handbag and I'm remembering all the things, the positive things that came with that handbag. And that's when I finally took responsibility. I said, I created this. It's not my parents. It's not growing up Catholic. It's not what my friends' comments about their boss is or the expectations from other people. It's me. Yes. I'm responsible. I create my own reality.
That's right.
And so I'm like, all right, still wasn't at a point of teaching people this yet. A book came into my life. That's the theme here, books. That book was Profit First. And it would be the first time that I could challenge money, meaning not what I learned in school, but I could actually I can learn how to control where my money goes. And that included looking at bank statements and like really getting clear on my actions. Because it's one thing to say I cut the coffees and all that. It's another thing to see it. So like looking at your finances can be a great journaling exercise. And then, so with Profit First, that's when I was like, okay, it's time for me to teach people. I finally embraced accounting. I'm like, I'm going to start teaching other people what this is. And so that included listening finally to what the language, like learning to see that abundance is everywhere. From like the plants, like spring, summer, fall, like saying like, okay, things keep regenerating. So I learned to see, and I started to read a lot of books, a lot of personal finance, business finance. I eventually shifted into, it was a money mindset course, which took me into manifesting. As a yoga teacher, there's 8 limbs of yoga. The part that I was familiar with is the physical part. So the physical practice, a lot of people are familiar with that. Meditation is another limb. So I started to get into meditation. Another limb of yoga is also breathing, breath work. And then there's the limbs 1 and 2, yamas and niyamas. Yamas and niyamas, sorry, wanted to say it, the 2 different words, which is the way of life, which is similar. I'm hearing these different themes about how to be. And ultimately, what I'm realizing is I have to be a certain person to not just only attract money, but to keep it. And so that's what I'm really telling people when I help with their books. It's not just bookkeeping, it's really coaching, financial coaching. It's not even about money. It's what do you want? It's helping a person see that you have to be a certain person to not just attract money, but keep it. And that's okay. You are meant to want things. So that's my long-winded story with a few details left out, but like how I got to this point. And I continue to evolve. It's important to keep learning. And now I see things. I see so many things. So I'll even talk about that too, like see why people resist personal finance and bookkeeping, and even some language that coaches even say when it comes to coaching, like how the scarcity is just so subconscious. Like it's like an automatic thing, and it's just a matter of being aware of what we say.
So I want to bring a laugh in here because I'm all about laughter and I'm all about creating a moment of joy. So my friend Joe Ingram,
llamas, yes.
He's a laugh man. I mean, if you want to talk about somebody coming in and just sparking up a ray of sunshine and laughter, that would be my good friend Joe Ingram.
Thanks, Joe. Llamas, yamas, and niyamas.
Yeah. Well, and part of it is too, I absolutely love what you're saying because, you really express though the emotion behind it, because a lot of people, going back to that whole unconscious side of ourselves, yes, thoughts create things, but what we really need to understand, it's the emotions of those thoughts that we're attached to that are really what are the cause of what's showing up in our now moments. When we talk about you create your own reality, it's really going back to that good old beautiful adage from Jesus.
Yep.
And that is that living in the present, living in the moment from that place of beingness that you're talking about, and being it before you see it.
100%.
Yeah, because I want people to really, really understand how we're manifesting these experiences. And so when we talk about wealth and managing our finances and stuff like that, we tend to put our focus, which is energy, we tend to put our focus on what we don't have. So when we're working with our finances, and let's just say we had $100 in our bank account, and you're helping people manage that $100, what would be the way that you would help them to direct that from a place of consciousness?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. See, the thing, speaking of consciousness, we are ashamed. This is where I get really upset when I read the blogs or personal finance, when they say, cut the coffees, don't take a vacation, because that's the reason why you're going to be put on the street. Don't go to the theater. Of course, some of us are still in quarantine. Things are gradually opening up. But I get what they're saying is to be conscious of how you spend. But it transfers to us that I shouldn't go to dinner. It transfers to us as I shouldn't go get my hair done. It transfers to us that I shouldn't get pampered, get a nice massage. It's because that's the reason we take it to the extreme. I'm going to be put on the street. And so we see this focus of loss and lack. What I'd like to put in here is, let's think, speaking of consciousness, let's think, when you got that cup of coffee, how did you feel? And I'll actually give an example. Yes.
I feel good.
My favorite coffee shop just reopened. And I'm just going to tell you, I spent $20. Now, some people might be like, oh my gosh, that's sacrilege. How can you? That's an expensive cup of coffee. It was a cup of coffee and 2 cookies, but still. But here's what happened. Summer is almost here. It's a beautiful day. No clouds in the sky. I laced up my shoes and I walked. I got out into nature, got some fresh air. In the process, I had the honor of seeing kids biking up and down the street, said hi to my neighbors. Okay, I get to the coffee shop. Yes, I have to put my mask on, but I was so happy to see them, to see people. Mm-hmm. So I had the loudest hello. I didn't freak them out. They had a loud hello back to me.
Good.
And what was supposed to be an Americano. So anyone wants to ever buy me a cup of coffee, I love Americanos with extra shot.
Oh, I love Americanos.
Mm-hmm. What was supposed to be an Americano ended up, I got 2 cookies. I don't need 2 cookies, but I got it. I wanted to. I was in flow. I was happy. Mm-hmm. Gave a lovely tip, walked out, saw the people sitting outside on the patio, decided to take the long way back to my home. I'm close to the Chicago River. So I took my time. I actually looked over the railing and saw there was fish in the rivers. So I thought that was cool. I saw seagulls. I saw the geese. My point with this story is $20. I could look at, oh, I lost $20, or I could look at the fact that I had a beautiful experience going to get this cup of coffee. Yep. That's what we need to see when we buy the coffees, the dinners, the purses. How does it make you feel? Mm-hmm. That's what money has to flow. Mm-hmm. So that's money well spent. When it feels good, that's money well spent. Mm-hmm. Whether it's $20 or $200 or $2,000, it has to feel good. When it feels bad, that's where it's time to check in with you, not with someone else, with you, and say, okay, why does this feel bad? So, wow. I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, and that set the tone for the whole rest of your day, probably, right?
Absolutely.
So you felt good all day. Like, that's worth $20 to me.
Yes.
You know, definitely.
I was more productive. I was smiling with my clients, people. The work I was doing, I was happy to do it. I had an amazing workout. Yeah, that's what $20 did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and I like to talk about how people are doing that, because when we talk about being present and we talk about living in the moments of today, it's just what you said. It's what kind of feelings and emotions are we putting out that are attached, to what we really want? Is it happening from what we really want or what we don't want? And when we start to realize that everything is flowing into our lives as a result of what we're putting out, because what we put out, we pull back. Yes. And so when we are more in touch, like you've said so many times during this conversation, with what we really want. And that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to getting clear and specific with what we really want. And then we start being from that part of ourselves as if it's already so. So how would that look? I mean, I'm walking outside, and just as you said, abundance is everywhere. And I'm seeing flowers, I'm seeing trees, I'm seeing people, and I'm allowing that feeling to vibrate within me. And that vibration of that feeling is what we're putting out. And everything in the universe is music. It's a sound wave. It's a frequency. And I love the discussion you're talking about, because let's move. I heard you say something when we were having a discussion before, and you said it's about who we're surrounding ourselves with, the type of people we're surrounding ourselves with, whether it be, if we don't have the amount of money that somebody else has, but we're surrounding ourselves with them because they're being in a state that is causing us to shift up. Tell us a little bit more about that, about your thoughts around that.
Yeah, sure. So sometimes, okay, remember when parents, well, I don't want to assume, my parents, they didn't like me hanging around the bad kids, right? I think most parents don't want that. And it's not that they had an issue with those children, it's that they didn't want you to pick up traits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because birds of a feather flock together typically.
Yeah.
So you're a good person, you'll eventually start to pick up those bad things. So thank you. So it's really like, when you want to shift into this person of abundance, surround yourself with abundant people. Physically, that might be difficult right now, but there's virtual. There's listening to this discussion right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's listening to podcasts, books. Books are a great way to do it. Now, also, what we watch on TV. I love watching TV because I get so inspired. I know people are like, don't watch TV. I watch it because I like to pick up on what people say and do. So now it's also about what are you consuming on the television set, be it Netflix, Hulu, insert some other streaming device, or even cable. If you watch the news, could be putting out that scarcity vibe. It's nice to be in touch with what's going on, even though they're telling you what they want you to be in touch with. So just be mindful of that. But there's other programs that put you in a state of abundance. I used to love, may he rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain's. Both of his shows, his titles are escaping me for some reason. I don't know why. Parts Unknown. There we go. Because he showed the abundance, like from traveling from country to country. His vehicle was food. So I loved just traveling with him in the comfort of my own home. So these are ways that you can put yourself into the abundant state. Let's just say if the people that are around you are not where you're at right now, right? But then here's the beauty of that. As you start to move, to elevate, to expand, to be more positive, you're influencing people around you. They start to get curious. It could be something like, your skin is brighter. What are you doing? Or, I noticed that you look fit, or you look healthy, you're smiling more often. What's going on? And then that invites a conversation, right? And that usually leads to an invitation, like for you to me, connecting you with Alan, Alan Danielle. So, yes, it's really important to examine the people, your environment, really. Like, what is around you? How is that putting you in a positive state? Is it enhancing you, or are you feeling depressed and scarce? And I even know in some manifesting books, I love the manifesting courses because it's so practical, right? For what it shifts us. They'll start by, especially when it comes to money, clean out your purse, get rid of the receipts, clean out the area where you handle money. And that's to create room, right? So also when you're consuming positive content, surrounding yourself with positive people, you're creating room in your life. You're expanding. So you're inviting that abundance in, that money in. So that's the purpose of surrounding yourself with, that's how you do it. Surrounding yourself with positive people. I kind of went all over the place, but I hope it made sense.
Oh my God, I freaking love what you shared, because literally just recently we cleaned out our garage. We have, how you have every 3 months where you can put all the stuff out on the street that you don't underneath. So we cleaned out our garage, and before they even came to pick up anything out in the street, everybody in the neighborhood had gone and, picked through it and gotten their stuff. But the cool thing is that what's happening is when you clear out all this stuff that's taking up space, because everything's energy, everything, and you clear out all this stuff, what happens is that invites more in. It invites all of this stuff to flow into your life. And my gosh, I just love how, what's the old saying? Nature abhors a vacuum.
Yes.
And it's very much what you just shared. Yes.
So create the vacuum, like suck out all the negative things so that positive things can flow in.
Heck yeah.
Like we do it when we use our vacuum cleaners. So yeah, nature abhors a vacuum.
Stand on the shoulders of giants. That's one of the things that I learned very early on in my own awakening 23 years ago. And one of the things is that as I began to get in touch in myself with what I really wanted, which was, I wanted wealth. I'm not going to lie. I wanted extreme wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And people used to say to me, "Oh, you're too grandiose of a thinker."
Yeah.
And there was that part at first where I thought, I would listen to what people were saying, and I would feel really sad and upset and even angry in myself. And I realized that what that would do is it would push money away from me. Because going back to that whole idea that you were talking about earlier, when you're being from anger and when you're being from not enough, you're pushing what you really want away from yourself. And so as I shifted that and I went into my imagination and I would see myself in that place of, big smile on my face and being able to do all these things to help people, what I realized was I was attracting people into my life that were vibrating from a frequency of what I really wanted. And then I got to stand on their shoulders, and I didn't have to do all the work myself because they had certain ingredients to the recipe that I was able to get there so much quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. See, I actually wanted to touch on that because I love what you said. You want a lot of wealth. And I will have to point out, I hear when someone says, I want a lot of money. But it's not always about the money.
Yeah.
It's okay to say you want a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's actually more than okay.
Woo! Yeah.
No one's when you retract that, I think you're already expecting to be judged.
Yeah.
And we got to say, we have to stop holding ourselves back. If you want a lot of money, you know why you want a lot of money. Of course, you know exactly why. You don't have to prove it to me or anyone else. So if you're like, I want $1 million, I want $1 billion, own it. It's a beautiful thing. Wow, I feel good just saying that.
Girlfriend, when you said it, I felt it.
Yeah, and it goes back to feeling that money is bad, right? So that goes back to feeling money is bad. So if you have to be like, oh, I want $1 million, but wait, I'm going to do all this with it. It's like, you don't have to explain yourself. We don't have to. We can want what we want.
Absolutely.
Go for it.
We are supposed to want things.
Yeah.
So let's step into that. We live in a beautiful time where we can actually, like, wanting things is encouraged. Like we're so ahead, like technologically we're ahead, but like from our mindset, we need to catch up to that. We really do.
You're right. You're right.
Well, and it's getting out of the mindset that we're going to be judged, because the thing is when we start to tap into our individual nature, that alignment with what we call God, source power, energy, the universe, when we start to really, really tap into that, all this amazing ideas and these desires start to flow through us. And then what happens is that we begin to go out there in life and we feel so much better about being. I mean, it's even something as simple as, I know this is going to sound crazy, but, getting a boob job or a facelift or, tummy tuck, whatever it is. The thing is to let go of that old conditioned belief that other people have come in and said, what? You want a boob job or you want, a tummy tuck? Or that's not necessary, and really saying, what, why do I want it for myself? I deserve it. I deserve to look the best, feel the best, be the best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. These are all tools. We have so many tools out there to help us feel good, because it's allowing us to be a channel, really, right? For God to show himself or herself through us. So if it's the boob job, if it's the nose job, a tummy tuck, a liposuction, if that's the way you're going to allow yourself to be the creator, right? Then these are tools available to all of us. The apps, the spreadsheets. I'm going to say it, the B word, the budget.
Yeah.
It's not the budget's not the problem. It's a tool. We control the tool. The screwdriver doesn't operate itself. We turn or press a button to use the screwdriver. So we have so many tools at our disposal. We need to really see these tools as things that help us, help us create, help us be our true selves. It's not superficial, it's not greedy, it's not terrible. I don't believe many things on this planet are what's perspective really, but many things on these planet are really not to do harm. It's to do good. So let's use it to do good. Let's see these tools as good. Let's see the pen as something good, the shirt as something good. So it's all goodness. Godness is goodness. Goodness is godness.
It makes me think of that book by not Joseph Murphy, by Joel Goldsmith. And one of the things that he utilizes in it is he says, what we don't realize is the mindset is our carnal mind. It's the part of us that is looking for evil. We want to think of separation. We want to think of, good and evil. And he says, and yes, we've all been given free will, but what if there was only good? What if we could create the habit to where we're only looking for more good? And that was all that showed up in our life. And so, when we look outward and we see what's happening in life is a projection of a part of ourselves that we've attached to, that we've tapped into. And so let's use the COVID-19 situation. It goes back to that old adage in the Bible where two or more are gathered in belief. And so if we have, society attached to a belief that there's doom and gloom, a belief that something's going to come and get us, a belief in sickness and illness and dis-ease. That's an energy. That is a program that's running in us that we've attached to that emotion and we believe it is true. And so therefore what's showing up in our environment is a part of ourselves. It's a belief that we have owned and we have given power to. And so right now, I love what you're sharing. I mean, that was so pivotal right now, what you just said, because that hit me at the heart. And it says, you know what? I deserve good and greater good.
Yes.
We do.
I might misquote Napoleon Hill slightly, but for every adversity, you look for a seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. So we put out, or polarity is clarity. That's not Napoleon Hill, that's someone else. But we might have put out this disease, COVID-19, but there's also a lot is a gift at the same time. So what are the benefits? A lot of parents, what they've told me, I'm not a parent, I'm just a pet parent, not a parent yet. But a lot of parents have told me that they've reconnected with their small children. Like they've learned more about their kids. So they've enjoyed the family time. This was also a time where, unfortunately, I'd say fortunately, actually, we were stripped of a lot of external things, right? The go, not taking the time to process and assess. Okay, we're at home. Such a good time to say, who am I? Who do I want to become? What is waste and what's pushing me forward? So we've had time to think. And therefore now, as things are slowly reopening, we now appreciate, right? We're now stepping into our choice more easily. So this COVID-19 has really been a gift. Hey, we created it. We created this negativity with the energy, but guess what? We created a benefit too. So let's take advantage. We still have the ability to take advantage of this benefit. So it's just get to own ourselves. Sorry.
It's a big reflection time for both of us, even Sherry too. I think a lot of people really stepped back and said, am I doing what I want to be doing? Am I feeling the way I want to be feeling? And now, I decided I'm not going to work like I was working. I was working 6 days a week, some 10, 12-hour days, so crazy. And I'm like, nope, I'm taking time now. I need to make time for myself. And it was because I had that ambition and power, drive to make things happen. And what's funny is after I've kind of let that go, I'm really feeling that push into the whole other area. But the money's flowing and things are happening even
Love that.
faster. I'm like, okay, yes, this is what I needed. So I needed that time. I needed that time to reflect. And I'm very sad for the people that lost and everything else. But for me, it was, and honestly, I didn't have money really coming in for 2 months. So it was a loss for me financially, but I actually gained during that time in other ways of like just unexpected gifts that were received. And, I changed my homeowner's insurance. I ended up getting all the money back from the company, thousands of dollars. So all these little things is like so amazing, just how that manifestation and the thoughts that I was having. And I could have gone in a totally different place, but it was amazing for me, at least. I know for a lot of people.
See, I love what you just said, because money is always flowing. It just flowed to you in a different way.
Yeah.
So maybe not through your job, but it flowed from money back from your homeowner's insurance, gifts from others. Like money is always flowing. It's always flowing. So we just need to really understand that, feel that, believe it. We know it.
Yeah. Well, and what comes up too in this for me is the more and more that I look inward and literally connect with God, because we talked about meditation earlier. And for me, meditation is about silence and just allowing the spirit to come through me and provide, great insights or an amazing feeling of bliss and joy. And so for me, like, I published a book during this time.
Yes. Congrats. Love that.
And then here's the thing that's so amazing about what you just said around money is always flowing. So when you stop the fear in any way or the lack in any way, and you really begin to understand that there is this source that is within every single one of us and everything that exists, it's a loving presence that provides for us anything. We don't have to go out there and hustle. Yep. We don't have to go out there and make things happen. We don't have to go out there and take care of the how. This loving presence provides us with the answers if we would just silence. And so just as you've been saying about this COVID-19 period and us reconnecting to our children and really getting clear about the things that bring us more joy, what I'm realizing right now too for myself when it comes to money is flowing in from so many different areas. I mean, I joined a new masterminding thing where all these people are providing me with all of these new ways to create systems and to make things easier in my life. Where before, when I was trying to do it all myself, guess what? I was hitting the wall. And I was tired and depleted. And so guess what? Because I was being from that, I was attracting into my experience more of a mirror of that. And so let me step back. Let me go back into that no separation. Let me go back in and let me talk to the spirit within me. Let me allow that part of me to express through me, to be through me. Then guess what? There's that beautiful flow again.
Yeah.
So share with us some of your resources that when you are working with your clients, what are some of the resources that you work with, to really get them on track and get them projecting more of an abundant state in themselves?
Sure. So the first thing that I always ask them is, what do they want? And I ask it all the time because it's the first response is what I'm supposed to hear, which is fine. And then it eventually, the more I ask in different sessions, it becomes the true sense, right? It shifts from I want a lot of money to I want to spend more time with kids. I want to build a school. I want to make sure my child doesn't have any debt after college, right? So beautiful things that have nothing to do with money at all. But money is supporting that. So it's always about getting very clear and creating that comfortable space around declaring your wants. I think my theme since I turned 40 a few months ago, I was like, it's just own who you are. Just own what you want, own it.
I love
So
it.
I think I'm just shifting. I'm just sharing that a lot. And then it's really, I love what you said about meditation, because meditation to me, and as I continue to dive deeper, understand it more, it's a time to get quiet. And I think that's been difficult for a lot of us until recently. Sitting down with your thoughts, sitting down and just getting quiet. We're always supposed to do something, do. It's okay to sit still. No one's saying sit still for 6 hours. Get quiet for 1 minute. 1 minute becomes 2, 2 becomes 10. However long that is needed for you. So meditation is good for just quieting down, blocking out the thoughts, being with you.
Yeah.
Affirmations. Okay. Affirmations are funny for people. Funny for me too. When you first start saying affirmations, because I love, my favorite one is I love money and money loves me. For someone that's not comfortable with money, it's going to feel and sound weird, which is normal, because you don't believe that you love money and money loves you just yet. And you're supposed to feel uncomfortable because now you're trying to understand why, right? So it's like, let that discomfort come up and you keep practicing with that affirmation, because eventually, as you're releasing that negative emotion, that positive affirmation, now you're reprogramming that your thoughts, your subconscious mind to now believe that you love money. And then when you start to believe it, you start acting as if, right? You start acting, you start attracting. So it's really, the affirmation is to draw out the negative, the scarcity, allow it. Don't run away from it, allow it. And then replacing that. See, we're replacing, nature abhors a vacuum. So nature's putting in the positive.
Yes.
Drawing that positivity. So that's affirmations. So I'm a fan of affirmations as well. I'm a fan of surrounding myself with lovely things that remind me, if we're talking about money, that remind me that I deserve to be wealthy, that I deserve to be rich. The signs of getting rich here.
Yes.
So I have my favorite books next to me. I have more books on the other side. I have crystals. So it's really what I really encourage people. It ends up being more of a discussion, like surrounding yourself with positive things, listening to them. And then maybe the last 5 minutes is like, oh, by the way, let's track your finances and make sure you save. Because like the tracking and the budgeting and all that, that's easy. That's easy, but we make it hard with all the supposed to, or I shouldn't, and I can't. So I spend more time with my clients on just, what do you want? What do you need? Let's put some positive things around you. Do you see some flowers outside? Did you talk to your neighbors today? And then, oh, by the way, just make sure you move some money to your savings. So that's really my process.
I love it.
That's a great process, because it doesn't have to. I think when it comes to accounting, even just being a business owner, like it was overwhelming to me. I'm like, yeah, I've taken accounting, I've done all that, but like it's still overwhelming to me. It's like, how do you manage something when you don't have this much money coming in, and you have, or for me, I don't know how much money I'm going to come in each week. It's going to be variable. So it's like, it was always overwhelming. But I love how you put it with the coaching aspect of it, because it becomes not so overwhelming. It's like, oh yeah, and your money, let's do this with it really quickly. It's like, it's kind of a side thing. It's not like, okay, let's focus on this for the next hour. Let's do this, and I don't know. To me, I don't enjoy doing that part of it. I have to do it, but I don't enjoy it. Yeah. Yeah.
And in fact, sorry, the nerd in me wanted to speak up a little bit about that.
Go ahead, please.
Really, I love doing that. I love looking through numbers, because I feel like I put a lot of what is said. I can look at someone's finances and I could see like, okay, you're still hurting from your divorce, or for another person, I see how you are trying to keep a man or keep men. And so for example, one client, she thought that to keep men, she would have to give money. And so she was depleting herself. Like she'd make money, but give it away. And she would say, it's the economy, everything's expensive. When I looked at her finances, I had to ask her, I said, what are these large withdrawals? Oh, this guy needed this money, or that guy needed this money, or I took a bunch of men out for a business dinner. And I'm like, you have a pattern. Can we speak to this pattern? So it wasn't like, oh, you shouldn't do this. It's just, I wanted to understand where it was coming from. And through a few more talks, she's lonely and she's still hurting from her divorce. So it was like, what can you do to start dating? Now, I'm not a relationship coach, but it was really for her to go and maybe seek some help in how to date and how to channel that, channel her desire to give away her money to keep a man, really letting her know that you need to love yourself. Really, that's what it really is. You need to love yourself.
It all stems from that.
Yeah. So when it comes to the numbers, it drives up a lot of ugly feelings for people. I think, of course, accounting is supposed to be boring. My people, I have many kinds of people. I'm an accountant. So my people, we don't have the best bedside manner. And I think it's also because we don't know what we really do for you all. I'll say it. Our role is to help you keep more of your hard-earned money. Yeah. That's what we're supposed to do. Not when you do a Google search, you see general ledger and trial balance and the time value of money. That means nothing to you unless you're curious. I could explain it.
Yeah.
Our role is to help you feel that freedom from your business. We're your advocate. So if more of us can show up too and be positive and supporting you and what you're building, what your business is for, like I think it can also change that experience for not just you, for a lot of people, for me too. I hated doing my own accounting because I saw it as, oh, it's dull, it's boring. I'm punishing myself for spending. No, we don't punish ourselves for spending. You're spending on resources to help you grow and influence other people. And oh yeah, it's okay for you to take a salary, like things like that. So it's all positive. It's all love. So I would, you don't have to love your numbers, but you really want to see how you're really acting, like what you're really believing. Take a look at your numbers because like it's a result. It's a result, and it's not to punish you. It's just to understand yourself. Maybe
so how do you get people to track their numbers or track their finances in a way that start to give them a better feeling? I mean, because obviously when you're tracking your numbers, a lot of times you're more aware at that point. Oh my God, I really don't have enough. So I hear that you're creating a system of shifting their mindset. And so when you're helping them track their numbers, how do you do that?
So it's now the hardest conversation that I have. I would say it's the hardest because it's the first time I will be sharing with a client virtually on their screen, their numbers. And for most people, it's like, oh my gosh, but it's not meant to be. All I'll simply do to start to invite the conversation is these are everything that you told me you wanted and you liked. This is what I see. Let's just talk it through. And so that begins the conversation because that's what money is talking to you. There's another vehicle that's talking to you through source. Source is telling you through your money what's going on. So we start that conversation there. And then so a book called The Barefoot Investor will talk about money dates, for example. And it's to really just create a positive experience for when you yourself are tracking money. So that's something another person you can do. Like when you're not with someone like me, make it a fun experience. You could play your favorite movie in the background. Sorry for the fire truck. You could play your favorite movie in the background, music, champagne. Don't get drunk, but champagne or tea. Like, make it fun. It's like when we work out, play music. You play music so you can go to the gym. Like, you create your favorite playlist. Make it an actual date. Make it an event. So it doesn't have to be this thing where you get irritated, like, oh, I have to track my finances, like I'm washing dishes. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
And just look at it as it's a chance for you. You're taking control. You're all in charge of your cash flow, not the other way around. That's what tracking your finances is. You're in charge. You're creating your life. So think of it that way.
I love that. Thank you.
No, thank
I'm
you.
gonna have some money dates going on here soon.
I love it. So how do you, it sounds like your coaching is completely different than your traditional accountant. And so tell us a little bit about how people can work with you and kind of what's involved in that for them.
Sure.
And how they can connect with you.
Sure. So my coaching is different on purpose because I had to do my work. So it's not me trying to be a rebel accountant. I'm still doing the same accounting. I'm just trying to make it positive. But so two ways, actually, one primary way you can work with me is we can just have a chat. I have a link on my, well, I'll share a proper link, but if you go to my website, thank you. If you go to my website, you can get to know a little bit more about me and see, what you get comfortable with me first and foremost. And so I have a program where it's 3 months, and I'm actually going to expand it to 6 months. And not 6 months, a whole year. And I know some people might be like, oh, that's a long time, but people want transformation.
Sure.
So it might say I'm actually just going to put the price out there because it's important to know for the year. Okay. It's $5,000, but here's what you get. You get a plan up front. First session, I do your bookkeeping and we're working towards a goal. So $5,000 in a year is an easier bite than $5,000 in 3 months, which I have that option too. So that's an example. So those are at least 1/2 ways. I'm also coming up with a program. It'll be available in 2 weeks, and it's a self-study program. It's called Master Your Money, and it's really just going through a lot of what we talked about today. So building the foundation of declaring your wants, understanding what's influencing you, teaching you ways of how to take control of your money, master your money. And so that's a much easier price tag. It's under $1,000. So it's more, I think it's actually going to be $500. I haven't decided yet, but it's a much easier price tag. So, cause yeah, $5,000 to a lot of people, I'm going to be honest, is going to be like, holy sticker shock. But over time, probably not. So my aim is to just help you all be the best person you can be to live your life. And that's because people help me. So I hope that the idea is not about the money per se. It's about you becoming the person that attracts the beautiful things that you deserve in your life.
Yes.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Well, we want to thank you so much for being a guest on the Expanded Women Business Network today. And if you would like to connect with us, you can reach us at www.theexpandedwoman.com. We're available. We have a women's group. You may already be part of that, but if you're not, Misty, go ahead and tell them how to get there on our women's group.
So you can go to facebook.com/Expanded Woman Business Network. Yay.
And we have a Facebook business page too. Misty, what's that?
Facebook.com//Expanded Woman.
Woohoo!
So you put one of those in and we're going to pop it up.
I want to just really thank you both for just, creating this container, Expanded Woman, and just allowing me and others like me, us to share. This was a great conversation. And I just really, you two just are beautiful human beings. I'm really happy to know both of you and continue getting to know you two better. This is really great.
Same here. I got goosebumps now. But yes, we love you too. And we've talked to you before, and you just are such a light. And I know that you're going to make a big impact on this world. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you all.
It makes me think of our great mentor, Alan Dagba, and what he says. He says it's about really connecting to your calling and literally spreading love. It's truly about what can we do to spread love and lift others up. And that's what Expanded Woman is all about. Expanded Woman is all about tapping into that greater, grander expression of yourself and being the true light that you are, and helping others to expand, others to impact, others to multiply worldwide and live the life they were born to live. So I want to thank everyone who's been on the show today. Please share this out with all of your profiles. We're super grateful for each and every one of you. We absolutely love that you come here every week and support us and join in with our guests. It's been an incredible conversation today, and we will see you next Tuesday on the Expanded Woman Network podcast. Thanks again and have a great week.
Thank you.